it's Peter here. And before we get into the business, a disclaimer. This OM system, OM-3, is not mine. I loaned it from OM system and I have kind of like 7 days to use it. And as always, everything I say about the camera is my own opinion. OM system has not seen this video before, nor have they said what I need to say about this. They just wanted me to test it and make content if I feel like it. And of course, why wouldn't I? This is not going to be a real review. It's more about using this camera, making photographs of people in the Helsinki streets. But of course, I will, at the end of the video, make a few comments about the camera as I have used it a little bit. I've only taken a few shots so far, so can't really say that much about it. But let's get into the business and see what type of people I can find here in Helsinki. I started my photo walk with these 4 images from Helsinki railway station. The first image is just warming up, but it could work as an introduction image to a set of images from the railway station. But that wasn't my point. My point was to photograph random people candidly on the streets. Some noticed me, some didn't. And especially this shot I really like because they have 2 people looking at the phone, tourists maybe, and then this older guy in the background looking at me. And I think there is something about this image. You know, usually if you have 3 elements, in this case 3 people, it is quite pleasing. Then I continued to walk towards the Audi library and I saw this guy on my way, and this was a slight quick snapshot. And on this shot it's not sharp enough because there was movement on the camera and movement on the person, but I think it's still quite a nice image. And it's not cropped, it's taken with the 25mm. And then on my way to Audi I saw these people in a cafeteria. The first one of the man is not that good, but the other one I like with the jacket and the older lady talking to someone, and you know, the jacket kind of makes the image. And then when I came outside, I saw these tourists taking some shots of themselves, you know, some tourist shots, and you know, like the way they do selfies and stuff. The guy was setting up his camera on the suitcase, and I was, you know, walking around and lifting my camera, and they looked at me and smiled. And then the other shot when he was actually taking a photo of the girl, I think this one is something that I really like because of the minimalistic vibe on the shot, and you know, the guy is doing something, and then there is luckily a guy with a brighter color jacket on the background. I think it works quite well. And all the point of these images are just to show what type of people are walking in the streets of Helsinki right now in March 2025. And I think it's something that we all should sometimes document, our, you know, home city, hometown, village, wherever we live, and just document what kind of people are walking, what they're wearing, and you know, that kind of like documenting. Well, I probably said quite a few times documenting, but you know what I mean. Just you have a record of the people walking around, and I think it's something that we do quite a lot when we travel. But why not do that in your hometown? And I didn't really get any really good shots while I was around Audi. It just didn't really work for me. But then I saw this lady with the red hair or orange hair, and I just had to make a quick shot. It's shot from the hip with the 25mm lens. And I think it came out quite well. And the same goes with this image. This lady is eating a hamburger in a hamburger joint. And yeah, as you can see, there is an eye connection. Not really sure if she knew that I took the photograph, because afterwards she didn't really, you know, take a second look. But, you know, I don't know. But it's still very good to have the eye contact, I think, in the image. Not sure if this is ethically okay to photograph people when they're eating like this, because, you know, if we open our mouth and stuff food in there, it's not our best expression on the face. But I think this image came out quite well, so I decided to show it to you anyways. And then walking along Mannerheimintie in Helsinki, I saw this couple and I thought they were really photogenic, and luckily when I lift the camera up, the guy turned his head, so it's not only from behind. I think it makes a big difference to the image, and I really like the clothes that they're wearing. And then in front of the Stockmann department store, this lady came out and I just had to grab the shot because of the hat. On Keskuskatu, Central Street in Helsinki, in a Starbucks coffee shop, not sponsored, but just to make sure, because you see the coffee marks there. But anyways, I saw they talking, and I decided to crop the image so that the other one is only in the picture with her hands, and the other one is sitting with the hat on. And the reason I took this photo, I like the light that came from the big window in front of the girl. And then when I came back to the computer here at home, I realized that there was a third person in the image, which I didn't really realize when I was taking the image. But I think it adds quite nice thing. And again, we have the third anchor or third thing for our eye to wander around the image. And then this lady walked in Alexander Street in downtown Helsinki and dropped something. And I saw her picking the stuff up and took a few shots. And I think this came out quite well. It's a bit awkward situation. She's looking at something. She's just picked up something. So there is some kind of a movement that what's going on? Why is she like that? There is something that raises up questions. And that's why I kind of like this image. And this image is not, as a standalone photograph, very powerful. This guy was, tying his shoelaces, and it goes well with this image. I think it's kind of like a pair. That's what I tried to do. Or it could go along with this one, a spread on a magazine or a book or something. They could work together. This one is a shot from the hip when I was walking back towards the center. And there is also the eye contact. And when I was photographing from the hip, I got a lot of shots with eye contact because people were looking at the camera, but I don't think they realized that I took the shot, because with the OM-3 there is a slight sound from the shutter, but not that loud that people around would notice it. But it's a good kind of like a response when you take the photograph when there is the sound. It's because I understand the silent shutter, but in many cases it's not very convenient when you really don't know if actually the camera was or the picture was made. And then I continued my walk, and this lady coming around the corner. This was just a lucky shot because I was, just looking through the viewfinder, and then all of a sudden she was there, and I just clicked the shutter, and yeah, the AF worked perfectly. And then I saw this man walking towards me. There was a moment when he looked at me, but I didn't take the shot because it didn't feel a good shot at the spot. I should have probably taken it, but if I had taken that, I probably could have missed this one when he turned his head and looked at the ad. And I think there is some kind of a connection between the ad, or the lady in the ad, and the man is looking, each other, and I think it kind of works. And then these two, just to document people what they look when they're walking in the streets. And what I was really lucky that I saw quite a few colorful clothes and stuff. It's getting spring, so people are having more colorful clothes than they usually have in Helsinki. And this guy with the headphones was one of those colorful clothes, and I really enjoyed this. And I like that there is the other person in there, so there is kind of blocking our viewer's eye to wander off the image. And then this one, I don't know if she noticed me, because now that when I look at the image, it looks like she was like kind of like waving and saying hi to me. I don't know if that is the case. Could be. And then this was also a bit of a lucky shot because of the head on the background. So there's the kind of like the head of the dog coming out of the lap of the girl, and then the guy's head in the background. It's kind of like a triangle over there. And as you can see from the image, she noticed me taking the shot. But usually people with pets, they just like to get their image taken because they're so proud of their pet. And if someone kind of like recognizes them, they are very happy about it. I saw these people, and especially this guy on the phone in front of the Lush store, I think works really well. And then, as I said, there are quite a lot of tourists from Asia, and these are most likely from Asia. And I like the colorful clothes. And one of the images that I took from the hip, quickly walking by, and it worked really well. And I was really happy with the AF and all the exposure and stuff that worked. All these images are raw images. I didn't really test the creative dial that much. But what I did was, of course, edit them and added some contrast and made it the images look like this. I kind of like the look of these images. Some more people walking on the street, how they look, and I especially like this one because of the colorful clothes and they are interacting with each other and the position they're moving, and then there is a third person in the background. So as I said many times on this video that, you know, having three things in an image usually works quite well. I don't know what it is, but it kind of makes sense in a way, because you always have a triangle and you have the eye has some places to move around the image. And I think this particular image is the best one. And if I had to pick one, this would be it. I just love the tourist group and the colorful clothes and the color contrast and the moment and everything. And there is the eye contact too, which I really enjoy. This girl was smoking on the street corner, and she probably knew that I took the shot. You can kind of tell from the way she's standing there, but she didn't mind. And I just wanted to take this shot because of the blue hair, and I was planning on taking an image a little bit closer, but I decided that this kind of works well with the composition, that it's a little bit off that she's looking that way, and I think kind of works. And then these three are all shot from the hip, and especially like the last man with the hat and the color contrast or the similar color that is the background there. And what about the camera? First of all, I think this camera looks beautiful, but does it really matter what the camera looks? Well, in my opinion, it actually does. We all like nice things. Of course, the nice can be different. Some like modern, some like classical, some like vintage, and some like antique, and some like, you know, the Scandinavian minimalism, so whatever. But we all want to be around beautiful things. We go out to a restaurant and we put some nice clothes on. We go out, we put some nice clothes on. We feel more confident. And the same thing goes with the camera. If we feel that our camera is beautiful, we're more confident in taking photographs. I know it looks, or not look, but it sounds a little bit odd. But that's just a fact. And I think in that part, this camera delivers. It is one of the most beautiful cameras ever. And it takes its design from the original M1. As you can see from these photographs that I took on the launch day when I met with the OM system representative. I do have the old M1, and it was really fun to take this OM-3 into my hand because it felt exactly like the old M1/OM1 film camera from the early 70s. And then what about the technology of the camera itself? Is this OM-3 a newly packaged OM-1 Mark II? Yes, I think it is, and I think it's a good idea. It has all the same features, almost the same features as OM-1 Mark II, with the computational imaging, with the high sequential shooting and everything. But in addition to that, it has the creative dial, which makes it, in my opinion, a slightly better camera, because it's more versatile. You can use this for your travels, your street photography, and with the creative dial, you can adjust and make your own film looks. And I think that's something that many street photographers and travel photographers nowadays want to do. So, and it's also a good, I would say, an entry-level camera. Of course, it's a little bit on the pricey side for that, but it can grow up with you or grow with your skills. And if you want to try birding, yeah, it's possible with this camera because it is as fast as the OM-1 Mark II, and the AF is exactly the same. I think the biggest difference is in the video side, which is not a big deal on a camera like this. And then I think the viewfinder is not the same because it doesn't look the same. It's totally fine, I'm not saying that, but it's not as good as OM-1 Mark II. And those are the main differences that I've noticed during the week that I've tested the camera. And then a few words about the AF. It worked perfectly. I had the whole area selected and then the face detection. And it worked perfectly. I only had a few missed images when I was doing a lot of hip shooting from the hip with the camera. I just wanted to test the exposure, how well it does it, and how the AF works when I'm shooting from the hip. And it worked perfectly. There are, as I said, only a few images that it missed, but that's not a bad percentage of keepers in that sense. Of course, there are some other things that might not be, but it's got nothing to do with the camera. And then what about the usability? It is a little different style than the modern cameras. It doesn't have a big hand grip here. So how does it feel to photograph with this? Because it is pretty heavy. It's a metal body, so it is quite heavy. And some have said that this is in a wrong position because of the grip and it's on the way. But for me, it actually was very good. I can have my oops, this way, finger there, and it rests nice. So it's kind of like a finger rest. We have a thumb rest here in the back, and it is quite firmly in my hand with the small lenses. I had the 25mm and the 17mm, the new ones. So I don't know how this would be with the bigger lens. Probably not that good, but it's not the main thing that someone would get this camera to do like birding with long lenses. Of course it's possible, but this wouldn't be my first choice for that. So in that sense, I think it's totally fine. And then, of course, the customizability and all that stuff, and the menus is exactly the same that it is in OM-1 and all that. And so if you have used OM-1, no problem using this. Was there anything that I did not like? Even though we all can agree that this is a beautiful camera, I prefer my cameras to be black, because this is very shiny and very noticeable. And if it's a bright Sunday, this reflects and all that. But I can see why they picked this, because the original OM-1, I think it was only silver. There was a small special edition, I think, total black, and I think they should make, full black version of this, just like a small special edition or something. And then another thing is that the choice of the format. I would love to see this camera with the technology, with a few exceptions, or we'll get back to that later, and in a Pen F format, so that the viewfinder would be on the side. That would be a lot better for street photographers, because then I could have the camera like this and I have clear view from this side. Now it's, well, a little bit blocks my eye, not that much, it's not that big, but still a kind of like a rangefinder style would be a lot better. But I totally can see why they chose this format, because they want to show the legacy from Olympus and the M1, and I think in that sense it was a really beautiful and wise choice. But I can bet that they have had some really big discussions and some rumors that I heard that there might be a Pen F. It probably depends on how well this sells. But if they ever make the Pen F, they don't need to have 120 frames per second in that particular camera, so they could leave out some of the computational stuff too, but leave the live ND, because that is very useful for street photographers and travel photographers. But other than that, there's not much that I can say that is a bad thing. And if this ever comes in the format of Pen F, I'm very tempted to get one, because you know that I have a long history with Olympus and OM system cameras, so I really like them. They're just easy to use. I'm so used to using them, so in that sense, I would consider getting if this ever comes in a form of Pen F. But I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I do have a link to a blog post about this camera that I made on the launch day. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.